Hey there, everyone. I'm meteorologist Cassie Knoll, and this is your 10 Weather Impact recap for the week. Let's start with a look at some of the top weather stories from around the country. And check this out. Awesome video from the Mount Washington Observatory in New Hampshire. The Northern Lights made an appearance Monday night, and at an elevation of more than 6,000 feet, the observatory had a perfect view of the Aurora Borealis dancing across the sky. This video is just mesmerizing to watch. And check out the fall foliage in Utah. The Wasatch Mountains are covered with vibrant shades of red, orange, and gold as the maples and aspens reach their peak fall colors in the higher elevations. And trust me, this video just doesn't even do the scenery justice. The colors are truly breathtaking in person. And now let's get a look at the latest fall color maps from around the country. Obviously, the western states are the place to go if you want to find peak color. In fact, some places might even be past that peak color. However, we are starting to notice some moderate to high color in parts of the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes, as well as over in the Northeast. Now, here in the Southeast, low color is starting to show on the plateau and across southeast Kentucky and most of the higher elevations of western North Carolina, but I'm starting to see some moderate color showing up there as well. The fall colors will continue to develop and come down in elevation over the next couple of weeks. Welcome to October. In eastern North Carolina, a coastal crisis is unfolding, where the ocean is swallowing homes at an alarming rate. 5 houses collapsed along the Outer Banks on Tuesday this week as large surf from hurricanes Umberto and Imelda pounded the coast. Now, with more erosion likely, the community is calling for urgent help and lasting solutions. Will Thomas talked with some of the residents about what they need from city officials.
It's awful. Something that I think we all knew we might see one day, but there was a big part of us that hoped it wouldn't actually happen.
A nightmare has become a reality in Buxton as 5 homes collapsed on Tuesday. For Daniel Poland, the one falling here hitting home.
This one's really tough because I kind of grew up on this street and lived on this street for a few years.
An unbelievable scene for Luke Midget, who captured videos of some of the houses the minute they fell in.
I'm just shocked. Can't imagine this happens anywhere else. 5 collapses within like 1 hour.
17 total now on Hatteras Island have been taken by the ocean since 2020. 11 in Rodanthe and 6 in Buxton. All 6 in Buxton coming in the last 2 weeks. The Buxton Civic Association hoping this can be a turning point in the future for stabilizing the area. Beach nourishment and a jetty repair are expected next year.
I think it has to be some sort of turning point, either a recognition that it's too late for these homes, but we've figured out some paths forward that we can maybe save the rest. The second line, before the other side of Old Lighthouse becomes oceanfront.
But with worries about what the rest of the week will bring, Buxton is going to need help.
We're going to need some help when it's over. We're going to need help moving forward. We're going to need help from the legislature, making some changes that allow us to help ourselves. And we've been screaming at semi-deaf ears, so it's time to get them unclogged.
The Cape Hatteras National Seashore is urging people to stay away from the collapsed houses. They fear future collapses are possible due to ocean conditions. A large portion of the beachfront is closed for public safety.
In Arizona, heavy rain caused widespread flooding in the desert. Phoenix had their wettest day in over 7 years last Friday, and the monsoonal downpours left roads impassable. In nearby Globe, more than 1,000 propane tanks were taken by the floodwaters and left around the city, creating dangerous conditions for first responders. Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs declared a state of emergency for Gila County due to the catastrophic flooding. In Texas, Camp Mystic says it plans to partially reopen next summer after devastating flooding killed 27 campers and counselors in early July. But some of the victims' parents are not happy about it. NBC's Priscilla Thompson is in Houston with more.
This morning, Camp Mystic in Texas announcing plans to reopen next summer. It comes after 27 young campers and counselors tragically died at the girls' summer camp on July 4th during catastrophic flooding in the region. Families of the victims receiving an email shared with NBC News by a source close to them that reads in part, "Our planning and procedures will comply with the requirements of the camp safety you bravely championed." Camp Mystic also writing it plans to build a memorial to capture the beauty, kindness, and grace of the girls that died. 9-year-old Lila Bonner was killed in the flood. Her father, Blake, telling the New York Times the families of the deceased Camp Mystic campers and counselors were not consulted about and did not approve this memorial. The mother of 8-year-old Seal Stewart, who is still missing, saying, quote, Camp Mystic is pressing ahead with reopening, even if it means inviting girls to swim in the same river that may potentially still hold my daughter's body. The parents of 7 of the girls, known as Heavens 27, speaking to our Jenna Bush Hager earlier this month.
It became very, very clear that this wasn't an accident, this was complacency, and it is 100% preventable.
Through their efforts, the Texas governor has signed 3 new bills into law. Among the new rules, preventing cabins in dangerous areas of flood zones and requiring all camps in Texas to have updated emergency and evacuation plans. Ahead of the signing of the legislation, 9-year-old Molly DeWitt's parents telling Today the goal was to get the safety regulations in place before next summer.
What's being laid out in this bill should be the bare minimum for what these camps should be looking to implement.
September has come to an end, and when we look back on the month, we can see quite the contrast when it comes to the temperatures. The first almost 2 weeks were below average, and then we went above average for the last several weeks here, and that balance of the two ended up finishing the month right around average, if not just a little bit above when it comes to the temperature. As far as the precipitation goes, well, we finished on a very dry note for those last several days there. That gave us just over a ½ inch deficit to finish out the month and the first month of meteorological fall. Now we are moving into the second month of meteorological fall. Average highs in the month of October go from the mid-70s all the way down to the mid-60s as we continue to lose those daylight hours. It's hard to imagine having highs in the 60s right now because as we're starting off this month, it's a little bit on the warm side. Eventually, though, we'll start to notice those temperatures coming down just a little bit. As far as rainfall goes, by a long shot, October is by the averages our driest month of the year. As the leaves start to fall and we start to see more debris on the ground, October 15th also represents the beginning of our fall fire season. That's something we'll be talking more about in the coming weeks. Now, looking ahead for temperatures for the month of October, we are seeing an overall trend in confidence of having these temperatures be above average overall for the month. But we'll see. We're off to a little bit of a warm start now, but you know that it just takes one good cold front to come through and drop those temps down below average. When it comes to the precipitation, also looking at potentially drier than average as well. Again, we'll kind of have to see how things play out, but we are off to a pretty dry start for the month as well. Now, when it comes to the tropics, yes, it is still hurricane season. Notice this little peak that you see right there in the month of October. Yeah, hurricane season isn't over just yet. And when we talk about the tropics in October, we're going to have to focus on areas a little bit closer to home, down into the Caribbean, which so far has been pretty silent this hurricane season, also into the southern Gulf and out near the Bermuda area where both Umberto and Imelda have moved in the last several days as well. So that's something we'll be watching as we go through the month of October too. Always got to keep an eye on the tropics. The Atlantic hurricane season does run through November 30th. It has been 1 year since Hurricane Helene brought historic rainfall to the southeast. In western North Carolina, the rising rivers washed away entire homes, businesses, and towns. But in the aftermath, the Asheville community banded together. Buildings have been cleaned up and people remain hopeful and ready for the future. Sam Perez shows us the push from businesses to come back stronger, but they need your help to make that goal a reality.
It's just this beautiful juxtaposition of ancient mountains and progressive, innovative ideas that are leading us into the future.
Cass Santander says that natural beauty has attracted creatives to the area for generations. Now, in the wake of Hurricane Helene's devastation, she says there's a revival.
Artists are helping inform the conversation about what is possible. What does a sustainable future look like? What does a more connected future look like?
If you're looking to tap into your inner artist, Local Cloth is a good place to come. Not only do they have pieces from local artists, but also you can try your own spin at it.
In 2 hours, you can be in a place where every fiber artist's fantasy comes true.
Whether it's taking lessons or browsing the retail store, Judy Jetson says her store has something for everyone. She's ready to welcome customers back in after nearly a year-long closure.
It was just a moment. Just a moment ago, that was a big mess, and now here it is beautiful, in fact, more beautiful than it was before.
After you've checked out the softer material, maybe you're ready to try something a little different. Let's go see what Foundation Woodworks has to offer.
Jacqueline Oliver remembers the destruction from Helene like it was yesterday.
I mean, honestly, it was like hard to comprehend. It was like shocking. This whole area was underwater.
But Oliver says they took it day by day. Now they're in a tent, eager for visitors to come by.
You can come see us, come see woodworking. You can see woodworkers live in action when you come by into our gallery.
Now more than 60 woodworkers are represented in that gallery, with classes starting up in the fall so visitors can learn how it works.
If you're looking for a one-stop shop to check out hundreds of local artists and vendors, the Marquee is the perfect place for you to come.
We try to hit every aspect from interior design, exterior garden, apparel.
The Marquee represents over 350 artists, antique dealers, and makers. When it reopens, Nicholas says 75% of the vendors are coming back. In the Asheville area as a whole, Santander says more than 90% of its hospitality-facing businesses, from restaurants to attractions, have already reopened.
This year, it's really about, coming back stronger than ever, making up for what was lost, and supporting the creative community that we have, because they are assets and they are here for everyone to enjoy.
In East Tennessee, Unicoi County was one of the hardest hit by Hurricane Helene. The county's only animal shelter is still not up and running after the storm. Last September, the shelter safely evacuated around 90 cats and dogs when floodwaters up to 4 feet deep swept through the shelter. Workers and volunteers loaded pets into horse trailers to take them to nearby shelters in other counties. We spoke to one of the employees who helped get all of those animals to safety last year.
Once the water got up to these buildings, it was get everybody, get out. And luckily enough, we had people come in with horse trailers. We didn't even ask them. I see it as a blessing in disguise. It sounds awful. But the animals that were here got their homes, went to rescues, and they were adopted.
The shelter has faced several roadblocks to recovery. The county's Animal Welfare Board fired the former directors, leaving the shelter without leadership for months. The new director, who is a former vet tech from Johnson City, hopes to turn the page.
When we reopen, we want to try to connect with rescues, be able to move, foster, adopt. We want a really big foster program. That's super key. I think there's a really bright future.
Main shelter building is still closed. Now there's only a single wide unit with a maximum capacity for 5 dogs. The new director says she hopes the shelter's $1 million reconstruction project will begin in the next few weeks. Also in Unicoi County, one of Irwin's radio stations was literally swept away in the floodwaters. Libby Cunningham caught up with the station owner, who says she's back and better than ever.
I'm standing on the banks of the Nolichucky River, where a year ago, floodwaters brought on by Hurricane Helene rushed into the town of Irwin, Tennessee, taking out the bridge behind me. Here's what that looked like back then. A lot can change in a year.
But this right here is the outline of the station.
Livewire 103.9 and 1420 WEMB are in Maria True's blood.
This is where it was.
Her dad founded Irwin's Jet Broadcasting. A year ago, the hurricane obliterated its studio. Today, she's back on the air.
You know what? I finally can come down here without crying. And everything's on the up and up, and everything's just getting better and better. And now that the stations are almost full capacity again, I can get back to doing what we like to do, have great programming and servicing the surrounding region.
We met True just days after the storm.
It feels apocalyptic, and I don't really want to put a lot of the focus on me because there's so much pain and suffering going on right now that it's unfathomable.
But don't consider her a victim. She says she's a survivor, like others in Irwin. These days, if you tune your radio into 1420 WEMB on Friday nights, you'll hear Unicoi County High School football. That's a first since the hurricane, and it's thanks to a stranger who heard True's story and donated a radio tower.
Right in the back area, probably about 20 feet, was the little AM studio. It was so cute.
She says it's proof you can take tragedy and turn it into triumph.
And so when I heard WEMB on the air, I don't mean to be dramatic, but I am. I just kind of fell to my knees and was like, wow, thank you, God above. Thank you, Lord. And I give all the praise to the Lord above. I do, and I like to do that.
In Irwin, I'm Libby Cunningham.
I just love that woman's spirit and her energy. It just makes you smile. Now let's get a look at our 7-day forecast, which I also hope makes you smile as well. After a warm start to the first day of the month of October, some drier and slightly cooler air is going to give us a beautiful end to the week and a really nice weekend ahead as well. Some spotty rain chances are back on that 7-day forecast, but there's some uncertainty when it comes to how fast that moisture will return back to the area. So just check back for updates to the forecast. Thank you so much for joining us. You can always get the latest on your forecast in the 10 News app. It's free to download in the App Store.